Vocabio. Master English your way.
Post for indictments, using memes and comments on posts. These are the
Criticism poured in. People made memes and online comments ranging
against the toxic memes and nastiness that is spreading online with trying
self-replicating, evolving internet, meme recurring first in user
GIF once, and you know that meme stuff really scares me, guys.
Two colleagues from Nesta, Marcus Shepherd and Andrew Sissons. For those less familiar with us,
themselves as such, by the name of SHEPARD, which is this organization that's a direct action sort of
world. I talk about Matthew Shepard, I talk about HIV/AIDS, I talk about NAFTA, like all these things that had.
I'm thinking about Professor Rennie Shepherd. She talks about not just her, but many others.
Shepherd, Val Kilmer. It's classic.
System software to the algorithms to the applications. That's one layer. The second thing that you and I just talked about.
And he was rising up. So I thought there's lots of layers, but it was really awful. It's a bad book.
A network would be like thousands of layers, and the layers are connections and nodes.
And in general, always moving across the several layers of abstraction and levels of detail.
Sustainable travel has so many components and layers to it. I know when it comes to the first part of traveling.
Real buildings in Gaza. People are constructing what they need.
And the gossip and the anecdote does begin to open up a feeling.
They show disrespect for their elders and love gossip in the place of activity. But you can go to any point in history
that are not important, like celebrity gossip and stuff like that. It's like one way that we...
Or more. And it wasn't like to gossip about who was dating whom, or like get help with my...
At the end of the fight, he slammed me up against the wall. So while we were tussled up, he said to me,
a conference title, a grand slam, a hole-in-one out of Augusta, an Olympic medal.
Came out, it was all boy bands. We got so many doors slammed in our face because it was like, girl bands are never going to...
Which is not much. If you think about someone who won 20 Grand Slams and it's one of the greatest of all times. Imagine the other one.
Agassi escribe cómo estaba llegando a las finales de Grand Slam, llegó a 3 seguidas y las perdió todas.
Biden would win and that the Democrats would take control of the Senate. But nobody in America will say that.
The Trump or it's whoever, Democrats that they would see as inevitably more hostile to them.
So Georgia's still in play. Pennsylvania Democrats are confident about. I mean, obviously everyone...
Biden both have the same position on this. Democrats and Republicans both have the same position on this. So I do think that
end or dramatically reduce. A significant amount of Democrats do. The American population.
Kids got sent home from school with headlights. We'd been sleeping in the same room together, so it was a total...
It was kind of a deer in headlights. And partly this is Roosevelt's fault too, because Truman was kept completely in the
application process now, so that when the freshmen come in like deer in the headlights, they have a little bit more time to...
His face pale in the glow of the headlights. And I could see his hands.
You know, I'm sitting there frozen like a deer in the headlamps, and I looked to my left, and there was David
that route. Let me now introduce the panel who are going to...
And lower spending was the route to economic prosperity and therefore to liberate people to look after themselves.
You know, you can only go down the sort of logical mathematical route, and that, you know, human creativity...
Across a number of cities or the shortest route. And it turns out that machine learning...
Spot the different types of materials that are coming in and route them and ensure that they're kind of maximizing the value.
Right now, so you know, one of my favourite sections is so the book is divided into 5 parts and
council or people who work for them, and there are sections of text that are more or less word for word.
Do share those with us in the comments section below. So first of all, Joe, genuinely congratulations on media.
Which one of us?
No,
Felix.
So in the comment sections below. So Rana, let's get going.
Catch-up call will take you about 10 minutes. A meetup will take just 1 hour out of your week.
do that.
I'm Dawn Barber. I co-founded New York Tech Meetup. We've got 30,000 technology.
Platform, High New York, which is the largest cannabis meetup community and has put on
Google and New York Tech Meetup. And it illustrates the extent to which...
I'm Dawn Barber. I co-founded New York Tech Meetup. I'm wondering what you think the role of the tech...
American moral philosopher and author of Learning from the Germans, Confronting Race and the Memory of Evil.
Next, I mean, there's some attempt being made. The Germans are sponsoring a conference in Berlin to talk
to the Germans in Munich. You be careful with
how that can all be leveraged. We've been making the point to the Germans forever. That's not just Nord Stream 2. Remember, there was also Nord Stream.
Even the complacent Germans are waking up to the dangers of their irresponsible.
Think about how we could cure our algorithm and whether it's something that platform.
Otherwise, we're going to be left to QAnon conspiracy theorists attacking the Capitol building on January 6th.
15 years ago, when they cured his cancer and put him back together. And
an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure is particularly relevant when it comes to this subject because taking preventative
bogus cures for serious illnesses. A Fortune 500 company.
Again, rethought away from just kind of handouts to, for example, having conditionality.
And he says, I went to Princeton University, no handouts, by the way. I earned my spot, just like my...
and a place that's only good for either handouts or safari, but a place of richness.
And I went to, they give you a little handout and you go along the whole day. In the book...
Did you the government, or you don't look for a handout. You don't look beyond your family for assistance. In other
being discriminated against. This is a Black woman, Black immigrant woman living in the Midwest.
For first and second generation immigrants transitioning from the culture of the East.
All physicians, they grew up the children of immigrants in Brooklyn against the backdrop of the Great Depression.
And rural communities, communities of color, immigrant communities, churches and mosques.
He was the outsider, he was the immigrant, and I suddenly understood him in a way because I was like, I know.
Away do. Force them to sell their companies, encourage them to give wealth away to political interests.
It's the same state, but seen from the outside. So basically, companies, organizations of all.
I went to work at big tech companies because they gave the impression that they had a better workplace culture.
Chain, there are some or other people and companies who want to make money.
On power dynamics, on how companies are run.
Looked up, and it was just that wow feeling, that total awe, because we
kind of, iron ore mine full of nuggets, which no one's ever bothered to go into because
30 years at making ore body discoveries. But there's good news. The vast majority
is really an ore.
Okay, Beyonce.
Thank you. Okay.
Activity of natural uranium ore. The other waste, the transuranic waste,
Now, just for showing up here today,
actually even at senior levels, you're given an assignment and you have to complete it. And school is
with this book, especially the assignment was to go back home and write down my family's resume
and have him wait for his rooming assignment, and he would write under the sign that said duty, honor, and.
He was the only one out of the three of them who didn't have a flight assignment. He was the backup, as I said, to both. So
intelligence work, which included capturing turds from visiting heads of state. And this is something Adam asked. Intelligence work, which included capturing turds from visiting heads of state. And this is something Adam asked
me, saying this: they send us turds and we give them squash in return. That's
something like 1 million turds, they reckon, building it. Big turd.
It was also importantly, we didn't have any turds on the team. Like everyone was really nice.
The song alive, because I think that the tempo of that song is important. It didn't feel.
But at a tempo run or a pace run, or hill repeats.
I maneuver every week, so it's a much higher tempo.
The way that the fast op tempo
where people have not been home very long.
To rhythm and think of like walking tempos or that real slow beat to play something at like 120.
Of course, also there's an acrylic violin which I've used in that.
Cut paper, but not cut acrylic. Right? So in summary, right,
you're not painting with oil and acrylic, but you have these colors that you can work with underwater.
With glass and acrylic rods, because the piece itself works purely.
Mold in order to get the acrylic covers, the doors to work, and the joint. Imagine how do you.
Actually, one thing that's happened is that their old opponents in the Civil War, the nationalists, the Kuomintang under.
Take the most extreme version of your opponents and then assume that that's what all of them think all the time.
These conversations are occurring around nuclear opponents today in our world.
Try to preempt my respected opponent, and I've taken part in such debates before, of course.
See companies and some of the opponents that you faced, for example, in
author of the new book, The New Nomads, How the Migration Revolution is Making the World.
A cyber feminist, a digital nomad, her cypherpunk science fiction.
While living the digital nomad life in over 40 countries and over 150 cities.
It's a kind of nomad. They tend to always be in the perimeter.
Geographical Society. His latest book is Nomads, the Wanderers Who Shaped Our World, and that is what
central crossroads of the capital of the information age.
In 1931, went to this famous meeting in London, the Crossroads meeting, and announced the work they were doing.
Crossroads was Roosevelt dying when he did.
Life, a crossroads, a choice point that we all get to.
Kinds of ventures within these crossroads, and Big Sweet, if everybody had some ice pops outside, they already.
It seems, and also this afternoon's announcement of potential vaccines. I'm delighted to be joined today by Mike.
So not only has he alienated his potential supporters and friends in Europe,
and as a result, one potential sort of knock-on effect might be
disparaging of those who did not see the book's potential when it was offered. And thank God no one.
For European security, there's potential massive refugee flows, there's economic consequences. Europe's got a lot.
And you look at them in the scanner, you find that they're what we would have thought of as their visual cortex.
People get a little bit too enthusiastic with brain scanners and the like, but the physical base.
Right or wrong answer when you're sitting in the scanner, the MRI scanner, rather than the process that includes uncertainty.
If we take someone and we put them in our MRI scanner and we film them speaking, so we're just running the scanner.
For people in an MRI scanner, we saw that each clip activated distinct patterns.
We do find, friends do spy on friends, that they do compete often ruthlessly in economics.
So the British say, okay, fair enough, you keep the Spice Islands, and there's a little face-saving deal whereby...
Well, something like this. I've heard that spy satellites can read license plates down on Earth here.
Cheaply and dependably. From spy satellites to space telescopes.
Who was a former spy master, a person they saw as a Soviet dinosaur who would...
Becoming, relatively speaking, much more concerned to reassert its own sovereignty after having been invaded.
Countries, the United States, for example, that's the reserve currency of the world, that's able to have much.
That in 1770, when there's a famine, there are no reserves anywhere. Now, famine is something.
Standing in the middle of what is now the Maya Biosphere Reserve, can you tell us about what we would have seen around us?
For the Federal Reserve to pursue reckless monetary policy, negative interest rates, somehow.
Is with sympathy, softness, maybe even a little.
Idea of softness, especially for African American women, holding a space.
About him, his softness, his emotions, his sensitivity, the things the younger Springsteen wore.
For daily life. The softness. Without softness, we cannot live. We cannot.
Eating and plainly showed disgust at its softness, while I felt utter disgust at my food being touched by a naked.
Stand by.
Has Bertie Lima Charlie stand by for comm check of air to ground 2. I'll be coming.
Love it. And I was actually talking to the Glenda standby last night, and I was like, I don't know what any of these are.
Stand by for my next call to get us configured.
Because people want to understand El Bulli in just 1 hour.
Yo voy a hacer lo mismo con Google.
Let me do the same thing now with Google.
And spend 14 hours looking at, spreadsheets is more important in your company.
It's just fun. Like, I like spreadsheets. I like Excel more than I like PowerPoint and Word.
Very data-driven company. I had a spreadsheet that I used. In fact, this is how I got you hired onto my team.
Each dead shark on a spreadsheet reduced to a sample size represented plainly by the letter N.
Something that you need an Excel spreadsheet for. You don't have to be looking in front of like
a higher fire hydrant, just
to drink from a fire hydrant of publications, but I remember that one was actually
the fire hydrants, yeah, anything.
2 wheels on a fire hydrant in front of Radio City on Christmas Eve, no problem. Okay.
The British Army. The private security force, we're familiar with big companies having security.
I want to abandon my nationality. The security services didn't investigate. Oh no, we don't want.
Committees for Foreign Affairs and the Security and Defence Subcommittee. In 2014,
Trump's national security advisor from April 2018 to September 2019, but a whole one into a false sense of security of, everybody can have their opinion and it's all just a debate,
Myths, which is which Putin has said quite recently, that Ukraine is just a creation of,
like monument building. You idealize something, you put it on a pedestal.
Beautiful title, no? The idea of always trying to make something.
It should be about ideology, should be about politics, growth, economy. What's that for,
in a sense, is idealized, is still probably going to be
to the generations, for the generations to come. As always, you are able to
go through, and the trauma for people of Putin's generation who grew up in a country they had been told for their whole
of the border every generation hundreds of miles east in order to keep
the belief that their children, the next generation, will necessarily have a better life. This is a terrible.
To promise the idea of crypto as a quick way to wealth generation. Wealth generation is a lot more complicated. We have to be.
First time.
Manipulates, and these pieces are enveloped or cradled by a matte orange steel tube.
Developed ceramic cradles for mass deployment, eliminating the need for dive.
Have is the mysterious. It lies at the cradle of true art and true science. And when I think that Einstein,
this place that is the cradle of a shift in.
It has sumac in it, it has sesame seeds and some other things, and za'atar, actual wild thyme.
All on the app, I turned up, open sesame, the key was there, literally the car was physical, but nothing else was.
Like someone's gonna die if they eat a sesame seed. Don't have sesame seeds on the menu. So I think oil, sesame oil, canola oil is another example.
I would have to say probably the honey sesame chicken ramen with cucumbers and.
It's really not for it's for the novice, both of these books. So I think that you'll be able to.
If you compare that to novice athletes or novice runners, what happens is
the truly novice home cook and home baker. So
to what we're doing at the National Portrait Gallery, and obviously, as you said, we've been closed for some time doing this transformation.
What resources are available for novice LGBTQ plus animators to find LGBTQ?
In a big group, you can do it as an appetizer, a little bit larger format. You could even do it
starter. It's not an appetizer.
I think I've been eating this all wrong.
Jeff Walters, thank you so much. Any recommendations for a vegan appetizer for a holiday party?
Ooh, a vegan. I love, the Seth Rogans and the Judd Apatows of the world who continuously work together over and over again.
They don't have a soup first and then
appetizer, this would be the meal.
And like Cantonese, Mandarin, Malaysian, Chinese, like how would you describe it?
Well, it's not defined. A dollar is what the mandarins at the Federal Reserve and what the market in
state, which selected a Mandarin elite by a very rigorous process.
Under Mao, we had a Mandarinade under Xi Jinping. Oh,
those are the things. I tried to learn Mandarin, but I got carried away.
And we worked out of our warehouse, so we were surrounded by pallets. It was Peter, who's
we often overlook. Delivery workers, warehouse workers, grocery store clerks, care.
These black people were parked into warehouses, which looked like camps or prisons.
A piece, and if you're working in a warehouse, say as an Amazon picker, or you just sort of
as much time studying an Amazon warehouse as the Amazon jungle. A very large part of anthropology.
You could right now, so we did something specific for COVID. Normally you can download it. You download it for free and it's
cuisine. ¿Te ha interesado estudiar cocina china ya que fuiste a Japón para estudiar?
Okay, B1A3 was just hot fired. Did you feel or hear anything?
You're particularly open to learning, right? Think about like the kids in the first 2 weeks of school versus like
Human Affairs, chapter 25. He has two metaphors. One is highly objectionable, but I'll have to mention
places that I imagined he was going to take me.
And that journey may still be continuing, but let's pick up on a couple of things you mentioned there. So
Sometimes people go on a journey and, you have to move with them on that journey. But
Dave, this is obviously the highlight of this journey, as well as speaking to Steve Jobs, you've now spoken to
Warcraft and on Overwatch, which I think is a wild journey to go through. From game.
I went, here's the journey traveled from East London to collecting that Emmy.
Rhythm of our breaths, rocky summits glowed crystal clear. There was beauty as peaceful as
I glowed up. We'll see my muscle. When I was around 30, I was skinny.
Celsius, which makes it glow whitish yellow, and so any form of light
shine.
The glow outside the window.
To go over and just bask in the glow of the Pomona campus, because that's everything I had looked at.
Being in the front seat of your minivan with two other crewmates in giant, bulky spacesuits.
The tire pressure in the minivan. Listed N through Z, more nuanced, making sure.
Approximate size of a minivan. And so you're hearing that, and it's definitely relatable.
One day you'll have to get in the proverbial minivan and take them to college for the very first time. You'll put them in the dorm room.
Dropped out of college, I put all my stuff in my minivan, and I moved to Memphis to go.
An Ugly Truth Inside Facebook's Battle for Domination. I've read it, it's great.
About politicians trying to sit and batter out an agreement. It's actually about companies.
Quite often in hammer and tongs political battles with Charles Koch and Sheldon Adelson and other
Shevchenko and how he battled slavery, which you call the myth of language.
Providing foot soldiers for the economic battle, for getting people jobs, for fitting them for
basic activities like picking targets and
assure proper family planning, so targeting fertility and targeting education. This is
to Iberdrola's ambitious targets to achieve net zero emissions across their value chain by.
And other men are the target of their sexual interest. Of course, you're going to have a very different
language of thieves about a secret code language targeted by the Nazis for elimination. But we're here to.
Hugh Spencer, however, was a different beast altogether, and he was an incredibly bad man.
That Disney made Beauty and the Beast and Little Mermaid, Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
About when it's done right is Mr. Beast. Now, for people in the audience who aren't.
And these are a fairly complex kind of beasts, so it's not just that you know.
So this is how I tamed the beast. Okay. Whenever I was in Scott's office.
Is Lovely's very unhaggish Sonia Soda, chief leader writer at The Observer.
I mean, even today, very recently,
the chief of staff of the White House said.
And presumably waiting to listen to. However, he is chief economics commentator for the Financial Times.
His third time on this podcast. He is the chief AI scientist at Meta, professor at NYU.
But Martin is, of course, the chief economics commentator at the Financial Times.
There's a big risk that this stalls growth rather than actually accelerates it because...
Go to the next available stall. Straightforward circulation pattern. So today,
I think you should have Huawei in your 5G network. Why are you still talking to them?
Well, this is because we're an ally. We are not abandoned cars stalled out and sitting empty on some highway. And if in some way...
Of our speakers for setting out their stalls so fluently. We're moving now into...
Space debris. Sometimes a short flash of light can be seen as the object rotates.
Give us a flash. Just a signal on the window, we'll try to find you.
Shifts. Our initial flash of moral judgment fades, and our reactions...
Hamburger in this program. Well, you've seen me flash up Hamburger, who is a zealous supporter.
Nicely rode the elevator for 20 minutes waiting for the ad to flash back so we could take a picture so I can include it with this.
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.